everyone, Chef Kim here. Well, are you ready to learn a dessert? I'm no pastry chef, but I can hold my own when it comes to baking in a kitchen. Out of sheer necessity, I had to learn. I learned the basics when I was at culinary school, but I taught myself just through repetition, practicing at home. And when you're in a restaurant and you're the chef and you're trying to save costs and avoid hiring a pastry chef, you learn how to do it yourself. So I can deal with it, but it's definitely not my favorite thing to do in the kitchen. We're going to make some fresh berry shortcake today, not just with strawberries, but I've also included some blackberries. In the summertime, there's so many great berries around, and this is an awesome shortcake recipe. I actually make a sweet biscuit, and you can use these biscuits for other things too. They don't have to be just for a dessert. So anyway, stick around and watch a sweet dessert. Alright, we're going to start making the biscuits. I like to make it in my food processor. A lot of people do it in a bowl, but when you work in a professional kitchen, you're always trying to do things the quickest way. So we're going to go 2 to 2.5 cups of flour. So we'll start with just a little over 2. That's the thing, you want to go with the lesser amount. In here, a tablespoon of baking powder, half a teaspoon of baking soda, and a half a teaspoon of salt, 1/3 of a cup of sugar, 3/4 of a stick of butter, and then we're going to use some sour cream in here, but I'm not going to add the sour cream yet. I'm going to go ahead and turn the machine on for a little bit here. What I want to do is break up that butter. It's the same consistency that you would want when you're making a pie crust, where, see, I'm still finding a bigger piece of butter in there, so I want to let it go a little bit longer. Okay, now we're going to add 1/3 of a cup of sour cream. We're going to add a couple tablespoons of milk. Now I'm using almond milk because that's all I use. Certain recipes that won't work, but for this it'll be just fine. Now then we also are going to use the zest of part of an orange, so not the whole thing. And here's my zester. There's different kinds you can get. I like this one. You just pull it along. And we're also going to put in a little bit of juice from the orange. So I used probably 1/4 of the orange. Now we'll blend it a little more. This is where we don't want to go too crazy blending it. And we may need to add a little more milk. What I'm looking for is to see it pulling together. We don't want to over process it. I think it's fine now. I'm going to move this into a bowl or straight onto the counter. Now what I'm looking for when I was blending it in the food processor is just check it and see how it is it's coming together. It might be a little sticky, although it seems pretty good. That's when you want to stop it. You do not want to blend it anymore. That's what I'm saying. You can use these machines, but you have to be careful. Be on top of it. Don't let it over blend. That's what can ruin a lot of things. I do my pie crusts in there. I do pasta dough in here. I do a lot. We're going to bring it out onto the counter. We'll be able to tell a little bit more if we need to add a little bit of milk. or if we need to add a little more flour. So we're just going to kind of work it. I almost think it's perfect, which never happens. Okay. Yep, we're just going to use a little bit of flour for dusting it. Now, I like to roll it into a long roll, snake, whatever. And then you can use either a serrated knife. I think they actually are called a dough cutter. And then I just cut the dough into the width that I want the biscuits to be. And then I've got my oven preheated, and we'll pop them in. But before we do that, I want to put a little bit of milk on top. Now you can use a pastry brush to do this, but this is the pastry brush that I was born with. So it's the one I always have very handy. That's a joke, right? Okay. And then, after that, we're going to sprinkle a little bit of sugar on top. Voila. Now that's the biscuits. We'll put them in the oven. Well, now I put my blackberries in the bowl and put some orange zest. The one thing with this type of zester is it tends to do longer strips. So at times that's all right, but other times I like to have it cut a little bit smaller. And then we'll put some juice. These are the juiciest oranges. Now the strawberries, I'm sure everybody can cut up strawberries, but I'll just show you one way that I do it. You want to take the stem out, and if you use a little paring knife, you can get in there and just go right around so you don't lose a lot. You don't want to just cut the whole top off, because then you're losing that part of the berry. Just want to take your berries, cut them in half if you want, and then I want to slice them, and I don't want them in big pieces, so you can either slice them that way or this way. You want to do it one way or the other. Try not to do both like that. I was just trying to give you an example. So you want to cut them fairly thin, but not super. And then we're going to let them sit in that orange juice and sugar overnight, and they will be so syrupy tomorrow. Now you can just do it for an hour or two, and that'll make a big difference too. Well, the biscuits came out of the oven nice and crispy and hot, of course. I split it open, poured some of the berry mixture over it. The longer the berries sit in the sugar and orange juice, the more liquid will come off of them. So that's what I say. You can do it for a short period of time or a little longer, depending on how bad you want to make this and eat it up. On the top, I've made some chantilly cream, which is heavy whipped cream, whipped with sugar. I like to use powdered sugar and some pure vanilla extract. And that's it. These are a great dessert, so give them a try. Now, if you are planning on doing this, you might want to work it out so your berries have marinated long enough, and then when you pull your biscuits out of the oven, you are ready to make the dessert at that time, because the biscuits are so nice and crispy. But you can just rewarm the biscuits in the oven. That'll work too. Thanks for watching. Happy baking!